Right, this is the final part of data publication 1. Thank you for sticking with it to the end. In this section, we're going to quickly run through tools that extend the simple knitr markdown framework to larger publications. Those are blogdown, bookdown, and Quarto. And then we're going to conclude with some discussion of the future directions you might want to take to explore more related to data publication. So I'm going to do a little bit of hand waving in this section. I just want to give you a sense of what these packages are about. Using them effectively requires some tweaking and working with things, but let's jump in. So blogdown, if you click on this book link, it will give you an overview. Blogdown is an older package. It is not as maintained as bookdown, which we'll see in a second, but it is still, I believe, a useful tool. It's called blogdown. It can create blogs, but it can also create websites in general. And the way it does that is by kind of giving you a jump start into Hugo. And as it says on the site, the code below is all that is needed to spin up a basic site. That's true with a few tweaks, actually. So I load library blogdown to make sure we have that library available. We create a directory for our site to live in. I've already tested this out, so it's going to warn me that that site already exists, that directory already exists. I'm going to switch over to it by the set wd command, set working directory. And if I were to create a site, I would say new site. It's going to let me know that I've already created a site. This directory is not empty. So what do you want to do? I'm going to say, let's not create it because I've already got my files here. When it creates the site, it populates it with a sample file, set of files, and we can execute the serve site command to launch it. Now, I found when I first did this with the provided files, there was a little error, and this is what I mean when I say you have to sometimes do some tweaks. This is an older template. I'm not sure what issues are because it's old or because it just doesn't match my setup, but I tracked down the error that it gave me, which was in my theme layout partials file in the header file, and that header file had a specification for the language that wasn't working. It was trying to pull the language variable from my environment and not working, so I took the easy way out and set the language to English. After I did that, the serve site command then functioned correctly. So I'm just letting you know these are the kind of little things that might happen to you. As you can see from this demo site, there's 3 blog posts. There's a little framework for an about and other things, but we have these posts with our code embedded. And the way this works is actually standard Hugo syntax, right, where we have a folder, we have a config file that provides general settings, we have a themes folder that specifies the look and feel, a few other things, and the content folder is where we essentially contribute the things with our writing in them. So that each blog post that we were seeing is a folder inside the content folder, and each one of those is its own R Markdown file. So if we've got a bunch of R Markdown files that we want to group together and present on a website, we put them in individual folders, put them in the content folder, and then the serve site command will check everything, run it all together, and build a website on that basis. This is actually just what Hugo does, except this more easily supports our code. And I think better not to go into any further detail, because that's when it gets kind of into just the specifics of your setup. Serve site is used to display the site. The build site command is when you have made a change and you want to rebuild the files, make sure those changes are in effect, but it's not going to display the preview. And you know what this does is it creates a full set of HTML in the public folder, and that public HTML is what you could then put on a website and have it operate just like any other website. So I've given you some links to little issues and tweaks that I've encountered on the way in playing with this. I won't go into those. And I'll move to the bookdown package. The bookdown package, which also has a book associated with it, is exactly the kind of tool that you use to generate what we're looking at on screen right now, which is an online book with chapters, and it can also spin up a PDF version of the same content. So bookdown, again, I'll refer you to the book for all the details, but the creation of a bookdown demo site is fairly simple as well. We create a directory. I have already set that up here, so that's in my folder for called book demo. Switch over to that. Make sure our libraries are loaded for bookdown and markdown, just our markdown, just for good measure. Then there's just one command, render site, which will populate a sample site, execute the formatting commands that are needed. In this case, I don't know if this again is because it's getting a little dated, but it was missing a label. I didn't attempt to debug that because it doesn't interfere with the basics. What we have here are, in our folder, are chapter files, this 01 through 07.rmd, which are the chapters of our book. We have an index file that's going to generate, when we stitch everything together, it will put the chapters in order, and it will format, the overall structure. And the output that we want to actually look at shows up in the book folder. So I clicked on book, and here I can see an HTML file that is my book in HTML form. Each of those numbered RMD pages became a chapter like this, but we've also got this navigation on the left that lets us switch from chapter to chapter. And if we look in that folder, you'll see there's a PDF as well and an EPUB. So if I click on the PDF, I see the same content in PDF form with a nice table of contents. All right, so it'll do all that for you, like from the same base material, and that base material can incorporate your R code and all your data analysis embedded. So again, basic idea simple, taking those single page RMD files and stitching them together. The bookdown package will do that for you. Let me back up here to our outline page. And I will just say one other thing, which is that Quarto, which we've already talked about, is kind of incorporating all this functionality. I have not worked with Quarto this way, but I think it is probably the way of the future to kind of, if Quarto can do it, you can stay in that environment and not have to import or use other special tools. So that's definitely something to think about and to explore. Some of those tools that were originally created in bookdown are now migrating into the Quarto environment, which really does the same thing. It takes individual pages and links them together with chapters and a navigation structure. So I think that also works well. So that's what I wanted to say about the longer form publishing. I'll wrap it up in our quick conclusion by pointing out that we've scratched the surface. There are many more tools for reproducibility. There's an entire CRAN task view page. The task views are overviews of the landscape of packages. So you can see from this page that there are many, many packages supporting reproducible research that you can look into, linked and described there. One to highlight is this our Open Sci project for supporting open science, open data, reproducibility. This is a community that is working on these issues and have released and categorized many useful packages exactly on these topics, right? So if I look at data publication, I will see several packages here that are helpers for these types of tasks. If I need to generate metadata, I've got some packages that'll do that. If I need reusable data frames, I've got a data set package. If I need to distribute larger data on GitHub, I've got a package called Piggyback for that. And these are all, linked and described here. So, that's tapping into a subset of packages exactly on the themes we've been talking about. And in absolute closing, I'll say just look next to the Data Publication 2 workshop, where we talk about the final step of getting your data out there, the data sharing step, and putting it into a repository. So there's a discussion of repositories and creating R packages that will help you share your data and code. So I hope this has given you some useful tools and methods to think about for improving your work with data, your data management, your data publication, and as always, enjoy R. So thank you for your attention to this point.